Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Let me explain what's happening here. It's not a long vlog, but it addresses a problem that goes beyond Oakland council member and mayoral candidate Sheng Thao, District 4. This for me started when I saw what I'm about to show you on Twitter. Just right here, as I go up, and that was August 4th, actually on my birthday. Here Sheng takes on a striking balance between wanting Elias to stay in Oakland while also negotiating the best deal possible, full video. Okay? And what bothers me about this is I have again and again requested an interview with a council member regarding Howard Terminal. Now, the last time she and I talked about Howard Terminal in the way of actually, to my satisfaction, having a public discussion meeting was last year, and then around the time that I blasted her for having image after image after image that had no one black in it. And so we talked about it, and her basic idea was, wait a minute, I have a black boyfriend. And what I'm demonstrating to her and everybody else is that is no excuse for negatively or not presenting blacks in images at all. You can't say, well, it's okay because I've got a black chief of staff and I've got a black boyfriend, because it means that you're sending the message that really is an old one, that as someone once said, the white man's ice is colder, or anybody but a black image is more desirable when you're trying to present yourself to the public through the media. That's what you're doing. Okay. Now, what she did with respect to me was said that she wanted to essentially pick my brain regarding my knowledge of tax increment financing, redevelopment process and law, and our current enhanced infrastructure financing district legislation, and also its alternative, the Community Revitalization Act legislation that was passed also in 2015 originally, both signed into law originally by California Governor Jerry Brown. They call them the Sons of Redevelopment, but I digress. So, for those who say, did that really happen, Zennie? Yeah, it did. And here is, right here, my tweet. It says, let it be known that Sheng Thao did a private Zoom call with me earlier this year, specifically February, all right, 2nd, because she asked me to answer her questions about EIFDs and tax increment financing, but has not once granted my request to interview her on my network. She only favors white-owned media. And this is, as you can see, it says Wednesday, February 2nd there, right? Okay. She says to me via text, hey, anytime today. And in blue, I said yes and hello. Then she writes, thinking about affordable housing, small biz facade, and cultural zones. I have an organization paying for feasibility study. And my response was good. I am thinking about calculations, specifically tax increment financing calculations, and the county of Alameda, and how the county could be best sold on the idea of supporting what she had planned. And I asked, how is your time in 2 hours? And she responded back, question is citywide versus specific areas and how to get buy-in from the county. I can do between 2 o'clock and 2:30 p.m. And I wrote back, also, you need to think about stakeholder organizations. I have an idea for the county. That time frame works for me. Your Zoom or mine? And she wrote, your Zoom will work, and I wrote, cool. And we did meet at that time on there. But she adamantly didn't want people to know that we met. I didn't ask why, because I wanted to get the meeting as they say, in the can, all right? And I wanted to find out what her thinking was, because the reality is I didn't sign an NDA. But I did stick to a gentleman's agreement, or a gentleman person's agreement in this instance, and I didn't say anything. But when I saw this, after month after month after month of requesting for an interview, yeah, I hit the ceiling. Plus, that's on my 60th birthday. August 4th was my 60th birthday. That means I've been around for a while, and it means I'm really tired of it, and I'm not putting up with this stuff. I sent that message once. I'm going to send it again, because overall, there is a climate where people who have their own media organizations who are black are ignored. And if you have any doubts, let me show you what you will find if you type in Google, quote, black media, unquote, ignored. Here, like that. Black media shut out of COVID-19 vaccination. But here's the one, this one. Black journalist, as I call my friend Jamal Finkley, decrees black artists who ignore black media. And Jamal and I are pioneer YouTubers. And I'll show you why I say that in a moment, because it's true. But what he was reporting on Blavity, and I can't play his video for copyright reasons, it is his video, but what he is saying here is that black artists are facing criticism for ignoring black media, all right, members during the Grammy Awards on Sunday night. Jamal Finkley, they misspelled Grammy there. Jamal Finkley, CEO of Black Tree Media, actually he didn't misspell it. That's a smudge on my screen. My bad. Jamal Finkley, CEO of Black Tree TV, expressed his frustration in a YouTube video that shows black artists walking past black media. Finkley said Black Tree has been covering the Grammys for 14 years, and there are several problems that haven't changed, including the placement of black media members. Usually we're all bundled near the end of the carpet, he said. And you could press here to read the full article, but it includes other images. And what he's complaining about, here is that he says there's not more than 4 or 5 of us at most in any of these Grammys, and they skip us religiously. Okay? And he says, as he's recording the black celebrities walking on the carpet, Finkley tries to get the attention of rapper Gucci Mane. Hey, Gucci, come on, man. Do it for the black media, he says. A reporter, Jamal says, as he fails to get more than a hand gesture from the rapper. Turning his attention to Quavo, Finkley says, don't just do people. Again, the CEO was unable to get a black artist's attention. A few minutes later, musician Questlove walks across the red carpet. The artist greets the black press for a second before he continues on his path, saying, quote, I have to run. And Finkley said that, before he ended the video, that there are many artists who acknowledge the black press, but that there are also too many others who often fail to do so. And that also extends to politics, and that's what I'm getting at with respect to Sheng. And this goes on to explain other problems that Jamal has experienced that really are at the hands of public relations organizations, and I believe by extension political consultants who ward off certain candidates from talking to anyone who is black media. And there's this idea that we only talk to a black media person if it's a black issue. And what's happening is that you have some people and organizations, I contend, like Google and its coding, that design it so that black publications cannot overtake white mainstream media organizations when it comes to reporting of mainstream news. In other words, we're going to let them have that, but when it comes to a black issue, they can have it. That's wrong. Because what happens is, suppose that, and this does happen, you have a black organization that's first on the scene to report something, then algorithmically, what is put up as content, be it a post or a blog post or an article post or a video post, should be seen as number one. But today, that doesn't happen. Okay? It doesn't happen. You could be first, you could be an older website, a black media, and you still don't get first position. That's also true on YouTube, and this is something that I've called out. And on YouTube, the algorithmic discrimination is even worse. So it's bad enough to have it on the outside world, but then you have it algorithmically, and then you have elected officials like Sheng Thao doing it too. In this case, doing it to me. Because look, how many other black media are there in Oakland? There's Oakland Post, owned by Paul Cobb, and his reporters and people who are occasionally, uh, great in number, sometimes small. And on occasion, they've been white. Okay. I have white vloggers too, like a number of great people. But my point is, when it comes to us, we are identified for what we truly are. We are black-owned media, and we don't get called on in the same way locally, unless it's a black issue, especially with Paul. When it comes to Howard Terminal, I have more experience in development issues and development economics issues in Oakland than anyone. And there's no common standard journalist that can match my tenure and knowledge. That is a fact. That's why Shang made the arrangement that she did with me. They know that I truly am an expert at this issue. But they don't treat me like, for example, a certain broadcaster who was a former player in the NBA who had these great ideas for running an NBA team, but then later got his shot to run a team called the Golden State Warriors and put in a very unusual schematic approach to the game, an analytical approach to the game, and proceeded to win their first 17 games. I'm talking about Steve Kerr, all right? In other words, it's okay for Steve Kerr to want to coach and then be a broadcaster, but there's something wrong with me saying, hey, look, I'm the best person for the task of running Howard Terminal, or at least being involved in the calculation of tax increment financing revenue, which I've done for 36 years. All right? There should be nothing wrong with that. Nothing. But what is put up here is a double standard, a gigantic one. And then Shang adds to it by basically trying to make me the monster in the box that no one can see. Okay? But then she goes on and talks with white mainstream media openly. But she doesn't want anyone to know that she talked with me, and she will not grant me an interview. And again, that is wrong. Not only that, it points to a larger problem of racism that a friend and source reported to me, and I haven't posted yet, and I will by Saturday, is a problem that this person hasn't seen the likes of, if you will, over the last 30 years that this person has worked for the city of Oakland. The bottom line is Oakland, city of Oakland, has a truly intense institutional racism problem that must be eliminated. And the only way to do it, to start, is to call it out every step. And that's what I'm doing. You can't, Shang, keep your black men in a box and say, I've got someone over here that I'm, is my significant, and then you've got your chief of staff who's black female, right? But then when it comes to the media, you selectively X out and say, well, I'm not going to talk to Zennie, even though Zennie is the expert, right? Because you have some issue with that. There are people in this society who have issues with the idea of the black person as the expert. And so they make up ideas, and they make up ways of replacing the fact that their real issue is that this person is black. It reminds me of when I was at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas with some friends a few years ago during CES at the Chandelier Bar, and we were all singing Grease. And there was a white woman just over here who was angry. And then I realized she was angry at me for singing. Okay? I love Grease. I wasn't singing badly. I wasn't singing louder than anyone else. I was simply enjoying Grease. But this person got it in her head that someone black shouldn't be stepping into her white cultural world, which she perceived it as that. And so she began to just make faces and everything else at me. You know what I did? I sang Grease louder. This is America, okay? And I can't at all allow my right to be American to be stopped by some kid who's racially screwed up and thinks that black people should be a certain way and white people should be a certain way and everything else. But there are a lot of people who act like that. Some of them express it openly. Some of them express it subconsciously. Sheng is expressing it subconsciously, and she's got to stop. I'm not calling for her to say, turn around and say, oh, Zennie, you can interview me now. Because I'm pissed off with this. That was February 2nd. This is like the day after my birthday, plus going into August 6th. And I've lived 6 decades. So I don't have time for this sort of thing. But I am going to report it every single time she racially steps out of line. She brags about being the monetary front runner in the mayor's race. Okay, that doesn't mean you have the right to treat people in this cordoned off way that you've structured. It's wrong. And it avoids getting out truths about Howard Terminal. Like, for example, how come the East Oakland Stadium Alliance doesn't help the African American Sports and Entertainment Group build a new Coliseum rather than stopping Howard Terminal? We're famous for trying to stop things, but not so famous for trying to develop things. Okay? That's another conversation. So I'm making this vlog to let Sheng know that what she did wasn't right, and I'm calling it out. Subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark OaklandNewsNowVlog.com. That ends this broadcast.